This is Broader on Politics, recording on August 18th, 2024, scheduled for publishing either on the 20th or 21st, the 20th or 19th of August, 2024. The Democratic Convention starts Monday evening, although there's some kind of events or pre-convention happening today, Sunday. Not the point. This essay will be on the economy. One of the only legislative accomplishments of the Trump administration was a tax cut. It added, I think, $5 trillion to the budget deficit over the course of a number of years, and it provided me personally no benefit, even though I made close to mid six figures that year. No, that wasn't true. No, yeah, it was true. I was working for HCL and I was making $140,000 a year. I got no benefit from that tax cut at all. So who got the benefits from the tax cut? Well, the economic analysis seemed to show quite clearly that the tax cuts benefited people who made $1 million or more a year. In other words, it was a tax cut for Donald Trump's billionaire buddies. I don't know if Donald Trump is a billionaire, but clearly people he hangs around with, your Adelsons, your Gateses, your Twitter owners, your billionaires and billionaires, they got the benefit from this tax cut. So why does Donald Trump have an advantage of, I think, now 12 points on the economy over Kamala Harris? Quite frankly, it's because he's talked about it a lot. And he talked about it in an environment where Joe Biden was busy running the country and there was no voice counterpunching on the economic issues. Now there is. Now there is. Tim Walz, 24-year veteran of the military, maligned, has helped counter that message. So has Kamala Harris. The big thing they need to emphasize to overcome Trump's advantage, this is one of the two areas he has a real advantage right now in any kind of polling. Just beat this drum. Donald Trump's 2017 tax cuts benefited the billionaires and millionaires that he hangs with. It didn't benefit real Americans. Over the course of the next administration, that means, or next 5 years, that's a $1.7 trillion in tax cuts, and it's going to expire. Let's go out there every day and say, I'm going to let these tax cuts expire. I wouldn't waste a lot of time and political capital trying to roll them back. Just let them expire. And as President of the United States, that's it. If Kamala Harris is President of the United States, the Trump tax cuts to the billionaires and millionaires are dead. They're lame duck taxes. And that's good. And yes, emphasize that inflation has been reduced from 9% in early 2021, and it got stoked up by the pandemic and poor decisions by Trump and the Trump administration. The stimulus was too widely spread. It went to too many people who didn't need it. I, still being IT, still making low six figures, I can't say what because I still work for that company, but low six figures, I got a check, direct deposit in my account, from the Trump stimulus and the Biden stimulus. Neither was necessary, at least to me. It should have been more focused. It should have been on people who were unemployed because of the pandemic. I didn't need it. I kept it. The government sends me money. I'm not going to give it back. That's freaking crazy. But I didn't need it. In fact, when the Biden, even more necessary Biden relief came to me. My kids got relief. Now, my argument to my wife was, well, I earned all the money. I paid the taxes. I paid for the roof over their heads in Israel. I paid any expenses they had in America. Why can't I keep the money? No, my wife told me, no, 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 no. You give them their Biden tax cuts. It'll teach them a lesson in responsibility. I'm like, what? But I did. I gave them their money. I didn't need the money then. I never needed a stimulus check. I have worked continuously for 5 years and 3 months now. One job. I've not, even though I've got physical illnesses, I've not had to take sick time off. I used more sick time when I was stuck in Israel because my HR department let me use that then whatever, drop the sick time thing. I didn't need it. I didn't need the stimulus. So inflation was stoked by that. All right. Biden administration did not admit that mistake. The Trump administration did not admit their mistake. Both of those stimulus programs, and if there were three, there were three. I may not remember correctly. It was not necessary for me making over $100,000 a year to get stimulus checks. I didn't need it. I was continuously employed. If the criteria for the stimulus was you went through unemployment due to the pandemic, and that can easily be tracked. If you collected state unemployment benefits during the year, that could be a criteria. Money given to me that I didn't need, that actually went into, in my stimulus checks went into an account in Fidelity and have been invested. They did not. I bought nothing with them. Nothing. I did not stimulate the economy. I did not help anybody who was hurt by the pandemic and the unemployment, which briefly reached 30% or 15%. I forget which. Maybe it was both. I don't know. I didn't need it, and nobody who I work with in IT in jobs that require 20 or 30 years of experience. None of those people needed it either, but they got it. So the stimulus, both the Trump stimulus and the Biden stimulus, were either unnecessary or not targeted well. It's okay to say that. It's okay to admit that. And if Harris doesn't want to do that because she doesn't want to offend Biden, well, Biden should have realized it himself, and it's a fair criticism, and it's a good way to distance yourself from him. But make it clear, any tax cuts or benefits we give are going to be aimed at the middle class. They're going to be targeted correctly. And if you're fully employed and you're making six figures, unless you're like really, really low six figures and you got high expenses, or you're paying $1 million mortgage in California, you don't need these benefits. You're earning money yourself. You don't need the government to shovel tax money at you. You need to get the money to the people who are struggling, the people who can't fill their gas tanks in order to have the amount of fuel they need to get to work. The people who have a hard time paying their grocery bills. They are the ones that need help from the government. They need, and also first-time home buyers. The American dream of owning a home for a lot of the population, a lot of the recent generations, recent college graduates, is gone because the prices of housing is too high. I don't need a $10,000 credit for a mortgage. I don't own any property in the United States right now. I have a paid-off house in Israel. I'm hoping to get there someday if the war ever ends there, and maybe my employer will let me work from there someday. I don't know, but I don't need it. Focus the benefits, craft the benefits on people who need them. If you're making $50,000 or $75,000 a year and you're a single parent and you got to lay out a lot of money for daycare, you need this benefit. Concentrate on the working class, the people who make under $100,000 a year, a lot of whom don't pay taxes. I admit that the tax code is a little strange, and it's been distorted since 1986 tax reform into a lot of strange places, and it seems to be keeping the tax attorneys and the accountants very healthily employed. But do what she's doing now. Her messaging is right. My administration will concentrate on helping people who really need help afford groceries, gas, and other essentials, and restore the American dream to people who need to buy houses. Not $500,000 houses or $1 million houses, but starter houses. Take care of the working class. The billionaires and millionaires, which I am not among, have taken care of themselves very nicely. Prime example, the 2017 tax cut passed by the Republican Congress. Yep, the big legislative accomplishment of the Trump administration, who tried to repeal the ACA, Affordable Care Act, or otherwise known as Obamacare, 63 times. But the blue wall in the Congress stopped that, didn't it? So Democrats have a record for taking care of people who need help. They have the policies that will help. They could lay off a little bit on the regulations. The regulation is slowing down the economy, but inflation was caused by Trump and Biden administration policies. Own it. Point out that mortgage rates are going down, that inflation just dropped below 3%. But if you put me in office, Kamala Harris should say this, if you put me in office, I'm going to take care of people who really need help. And two things you want to emphasize over and over again is I will let the Trump tax cuts of 2017 expire, and government programs will concentrate the aid on the people who really need it, not the people who are fully employed and making $150,000, $200,000 a year. Now, some of them are struggling. I apologize if you're struggling and you're making that kind of money. But that's the way. That's my opinion, and I'm not going to hold it back just because it pisses people off. Someone threatened to kill me because I voted for Biden, and I was thinking about voting for Harris, and I haven't decided yet. Yeah, it really happened. Political violence is alive and well in America, and that's Donald Trump's fault. Subscribe to this channel if you like it. Like this video if you like it. Hit notify if you want to hear my spewing on a regular basis anytime it pops up. I'm going to do my best to produce 2 videos a day, one on Saturday, which will be published and recorded before the Sabbath begins. Thank you for listening. Tell your friends.